What's on, ladies and gentlemen? My name's Ross, I like games, and today we need to talk about secret actions. Because you see, ladies and gentlemen, I told you yesterday when we looked at Major Shockwave, that it could interact with secret actions. And then I promptly told you I don't know what that means. I don't know what secret actions are. We hadn't had any revealed. Well, the good news is the lovely folks over at Transformers HQ have gone and shown us a secret action. Only one, but that's all right. Because we've got one, and one tells us everything that we need to know in order to have a play around and make some predictions and know what they do. So, now this was really mean, because I was reading down through the article, and I got to this, and I went, what? That's not fair. I want to know what it does. And then I kept scrolling, and I saw this, and I was like, okay, we're good. Because that made me genuinely sad. This is an action that during your turn you play face down, and at the end of your opponent's turn you put it into your scrap pile. Now, this is weird, right? Because you can only play one action during your turn, which means that you put it down, face down, that is your action for the turn, and then at the end of your opponent's turn, if it's not been used, more on that in a second, then it goes into your scrap pile. Which means these are action cards that on the one hand, hey, you can use it during your opponent's turn. That's awesome. Yeah, but I didn't make it clear you can use it during your opponent's turn. And on the other hand, you might never get to use it, meaning you've wasted your action for the turn. That's a bit rubbish. Yeah. Okay. So we have reveal and we have when revealed. Reveal tells you at what point you get to use it during your opponent's turn, and when revealed dictates what happens if it's revealed. So the only one we've got so far is Battlefield Report. It's got a blue icon, so I don't know, good for defensive decks. And it is revealed when one of your characters defends. Now, frankly, if you waste this card, I am cool with it. Because you see, the only way this doesn't get revealed and used is if your opponent doesn't attack. You want your opponent to not attack. Anytime your opponent has a turn and ends it without attacking, that's wonderful. We like this. So frankly, this is going to get revealed. Cool. What does it do? Well, when it's revealed, you draw 2 cards, bearing in mind it is on your opponent's turn, and then you put a card from your hand on top of your deck. And obviously, this is like plan, but you want to be defending. Because generally speaking, right, you use plan during your turn. And you use plan during your turn, so you want to be putting down orange icons because then you're going to be attacking. Or maybe white icons to flip more to try and get more orange. Whereas here, it's kind of like plan, but it's on your opponent's turn. Now, interestingly enough, this doesn't say plan. Just like in Wave 1, it didn't say plan, but then plan got introduced terminology-wise in Wave 2. So this is kind of interesting in that it doesn't use the word plan. But you draw 2 cards and then put something down. And look, clearly here, you want to be putting down a double blue icon card. You want to have a card in your hand with double blue icons and put it down so that when you're defending, you're like, gutted, my defense is too higher. You're doing less damage. That just seems fairly straightforward to me. Something like Handheld Blaster here would work very nicely indeed. And the thing is, you might not have Handheld Blaster in your hand, Blaster, but it's okay because you're drawing 2 cards before you go about doing it. So this should be okay here. It gives you a much greater chance of doing it. Now, on the one hand, this lets you draw cards during your opponent's turn, and that is wonderful. But on the other hand, it means you're not really playing an action on your turn. I mean, you are playing an action on your turn, let's be clear. But you're not playing an action on your turn that does anything on your turn. You're playing an action on your turn in the hope that your opponent essentially reveals it and lets you use it on their turn. Which means, are you just giving up drawing cards on your turn? Now, to be fair, drawing 2 cards is really good. Drawing 2 cards is just pep talk. And when I did my top 10 list of action cards from Wave 2 recently, I polled the community, and pep talk was a card that people really liked. And the reason was extremely simple. We don't have great draw options in this game. We just don't. So even though pep talk is a fairly vanilla draw 2 cards and doesn't look particularly inspiring on the face of it, it's the best we've got. Now, technically it's not the best we've got. The best we've got is Universal Network Access, which lets you draw 3 cards, but it's a star card, so you got to take at least one of your stars to go and play this, more than one if you want to play more than one. And I suppose we've got Testify, but Testify also lets your opponent draw 2 cards, which a lot of the time is going to help them out, so boo, etc. We don't really want to do that a lot of the time. There are times we will, but not all the time. So essentially here, this is just good draw. Now, at this stage, I've got to mention Work Overtime. Work Overtime is incredibly important here. This was in the Devastator deck, and if you've got fewer than 4 cards in hand, you draw cards equal to the difference. So if you've got 2, 1, or 0 cards in hand, Work Overtime is better than this. But remember, this isn't just draw. You're not just drawing 2 cards here. You are drawing 2 cards and then giving yourself an advantage when defending, and it might not help. But hopefully you've got some blue icons in your hand or orange icons in your hand, something that you can do to give yourself a chance when defending. Because when defending, you flick 2 battle cards and you add the blue icons you find to your defense when working out the damage. This seems like fun. This seems like a really good card. As a general thing for secret actions generally, I am extremely nervous about the whole reveal thing. I am extremely nervous that there are going to be cards where you use your action for the turn to put them down, and then your opponent doesn't reveal them, and then you lose them. Because maybe the reveal is your opponent plays an action, but they just don't have an action that turn. Or they know that you're playing a card that has a reveal of when they play an action, and they can afford to not play an action for a little while. Although, as I've said, whenever your opponent doesn't do something just to try and hurt you, that's still kind of a win for you. Here, I don't really think it's an issue at all. When one of your characters defends, that pretty much seems like a given that this is going to get revealed. But just in general, I'm slightly nervous that there are going to be times you use your action for the turn to be a secret action, and then you put it down and you don't actually do anything, and that could make me just a little bit nervous here. So secret actions generally really excite me because they come in on your opponent's turn. And who knows what's going to happen? A star card that stops your opponent's attack? A card that stops your opponent playing an upgrade? Or stops them playing an action? Or forces them to take damage before they attack, which could knock them out? There are so many options for these. This one specifically, I mean, look, if you just look at the other cards we've got, we don't really have options for putting cards down during your opponent's turn to help you defending, but now we do with this. And drawing 2 cards is good, although it's on your opponent's turn, so you'll then have to wait till your turn to do it. Hey-ho. The good news is it's when you defend, so your opponent isn't going to be able to use an action like security checkpoint, because if you drew cards halfway through your opponent's turn, they could then potentially play security checkpoint and punish you if you drew any upgrades. Here, it's when you defend, so your opponent is not going to be able to play that, and that's at least going to help you out in that regard. This is fun. This is good. I really like these. The thing is, right, how many secret actions are you really going to be playing? They're not actually going to be that secret, because your opponent's going to be like, you're playing one secret action, I know what this is. Now, I do need to just give a quick shout out to Major Shockwave before we finish this video today. Now, look, I know we've not seen many cards from Wave 2. I do understand that. Don't care, still saying Shockwave's one of the most exciting ones I've seen in ages. I love Major Shockwave. I am psyched to start testing out Double Shockwave. But Major Shockwave has got a bot mode skill. While the top card of your deck is a Decepticon card or a secret action, you may play it as though it were in your hand. Just gives you more consistency, gives you more chances to be able to actually find that card. Cool. That sounds like fun. So Major Shockwave is going to really like these. You always know what's on the top card of your deck, so you can go ahead and play this if you so wish. It's kind of fun, don't you think? I personally do. So there we go, ladies and gentlemen. Our first secret action has been revealed. I love that it's got Shockwave on there, given that Shockwave is the one that interacts with them so far. And I really like this. Might turn out to be rubbish, but I have hope. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to know what you think about it. So please do let me know in the comment section. Go nuts, but please do remember the rule. Be nice, would ya? And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, and follow me on Twitter at the Wossy, where we talk about games, like Transformers. But by far the most important thing as always, look after yourselves until next time. Thank you very much for watching. My name is Ross, and you've been watching Wossy Plays.